We're back for some crazy 5-10 action here at the Fort Card Room. I wanted to make this video super special for y'all, so I invited some of the craziest players in all of Texas to come participate in today's session. But that's not all. I've hired a few cameramen as well to capture every angle of the action, and it's a good thing I did because we regularly get into pots worth over $10,000, and this includes a massive $12,000 pot to end the night versus my arch poker nemesis Trick Time. You're not going to believe how that hand ended. And jumping right into the first hand of the night, we decide to 3-bet a raise to $35 with King Queen of Diamonds, the new price $125. Bobby puts in the call for $125, and now the initial raiser decides to 4-bet to $425. Definitely a strong move from the early position, making it $425 to go. Action's on me. I'm definitely not 5-betting. I'm debating folding, but that seems a little bit nitty considering it is my game. I put in the call, and we're going heads up in position to a flop. The flop comes pretty groovy. It's Queen 10-7 Rainbow, and the villain decides to bet out for $300. Considering it is a small bet, I'm going absolutely nowhere. Definitely have to put in the call.
Are you willing to go broke with your hand right now? Or no? Yeah. I better call this.
But I put in the call, and we're off the turn, which comes a brick, the 5 of hearts.
Liar.
Expecting my opponent to continue to fire out with aces, ace, queen, kings, tens, all of that good stuff. But when he slows down and checks, I think I have a lock on this hand. The only thing that's going through my mind now is how do I make the most amount of money on the turn and river? If I bet out here, he's just gonna fold hands like ace, king. But if I check here, he might decide to turn his hand into a bluff on the river, and that's what I decided to do. I checked the turn, planning to call any bet on the river. When the river comes the 9 of clubs and he checks it once again, it's pretty obvious I have the best hand now, so the only decision point is how large do I want to go. I think a spicy 10% size of the pot will get me called by hands like pocket 6s, pocket 8s.
This guy's not trying to go broke with his ace king. That's what's up. Just don't trouble me, please.
So I fire out cheap here for $125, he snap calls, I turn over the goods, and a quick fold from my opponent earns me an $1,800 pot. Second hand of the night, we pick up ace queen offsuit from the small blind. Look over at the button, there's a green chip out there. It's a button straddle. If you guys aren't familiar with that, it just means he has ultimate last action, so he gets to see everything and then decide what to do. It's a fun little spice here in Texas, the button straddle. There's a raise to 75 and 2 calls over to me. It skips the button, so I have to act. I like a 3-bet in this spot, but I decided to go kind of small. I think this is a mistake. I need to go at least 400. 325 gives my opponents a good price. But all that goes out the window when the big blind decides to 4-bet. It's a cold 4-bet to 775, and that's surely gonna clear the field. Clears everyone out of the way except for the button, who still gets to wait to act. I know it's kind of crazy for those of you that haven't played it before, but the action skips him back over to myself. Now I'm pretty familiar with Andrew Wong here in the big blind. He's a regular at the fort, and let's just say he likes to put chips in the middle. So I'm feeling pretty good about my ace queen offsuit. I know its reputation being the parking lot hand, but I'm still crushing a lot of his range like ace 10 suited, ace jack, and his pocket pairs we're flipping against, so let's just get it in. He doesn't have that many chips, 2,500 to be exact. I jam it in for 2,500, he snap calls, and the button finally acts and finds the fold. We're going off to a run out, and Andrew kindly turns over his cards. We see we are indeed in a flip situation. Before you guys let me know down in the comments how crazy it was for me to 5-bet rip, look at his exact holding. He has my favorite hand, pocket 7s. Posted a short about this on my Instagram and YouTube, and everyone was going crazy saying, how loose are we playing here? Well, it's Texas, get used to it. The flop comes jack, deuce, deuce, no help for myself. The turn comes the jack of diamonds. We now have 2 pair, but outkicked by Andrew's jacks and 7s. We need help on the river. It doesn't come. The 6 of hearts is no avail. He's taking down a $5,000 pot, and we just decided to flip for a casual 5K. That's how it goes in Wolfgang's 510. If you guys want to get on the list, come check it out at the fort.
You have my own hand against me?
All right, Andrew puts on the button straddle, actions on me in the cutoff, and I make it $100 to go. My buddy Gage in the small blind decides to come in for a 3-bet to $325, actions back over to me. I'm not 4-betting, I'm also not folding in position. I put in the call, Andrew folds, heads up, we go to a great flop, which comes king 10-5 with 2 diamonds. Expect Gage to continue betting here on a king-high board, but he doesn't. Out of position, he starts with a check. I think now I want to take the reins on this hand, represent some of those flush draws, maybe king 10 suited, pocket 10s, pocket 5s. I fired out small here for 225, just trying to feel out where I am in the hand. Now Gage decides to go for an interesting line here and check raises me to 575. This definitely screams pocket kings, ace king, pocket 10s. I think queen jack of diamonds also might do this, and a lot of his other flush draws, but I have the ace high flush draw, so I'm definitely going nowhere. Look over at his stack, he only has around 1,000 more behind. I decide we're gonna play for all of it here, rip it all in for 1480, and he finds the snap call. So just like that, we're playing another massive pot here, 3,600 to be exact, and we decide to run it twice. When the cards hit their backs, we see that Gage has the advantage ever so slightly. King, deuce of hearts. And we're gonna need some help on the turn, which doesn't come, but the river, ace of spades, we have locked up $1,800 onto board number 2. No sweat right away, the ace of clubs on the turn. Starting to feel a little bit bad for my buddy Gage in the river. No help for him, it comes the jack of spades. Both boards are mine, the pot is all mine. No choppy here at the fort. Gage, it's time to rebuy. Right, we're up $1,200, feeling pretty good. Trick time opens it up to $100 over a button straddle from Wong. I look down at pocket nueves, put in the flat call. I'm not trying to open up the action here with a 3-bet against Trick time's early position raise. He easily could 4-bet me and then I'm in a tough spot. So just a flat call from myself. We pick up another customer and then Wong puts in the call from the button. 4 ways to the flop we go, which comes king, 9, 8, bang, we flop middle set. To make the situation even better, Trick Time decides not to check multi-way. He fires out small here for $160. Now the question is, do I want to bloat the pot now or just call in position and see if someone else decides to raise and play our hand that way? I decide just to call here and hopefully other players come along or raise. Nope, they both find the fold. No worries, the turn comes the ace of hearts, which smashes Trick Time's under the gun raise. He easily could have a hand like ace jack of clubs, ace 10 of diamonds, or even ace king would be pretty sweet. He's under the gun in a $700 pot and fires out for 420. I see no coincidence there, Mr. Trick Time. Action's back over to myself, looking over at his stack. I want to play for all of it. I don't want him to get to a cheap river with any heart draws or straight draws like jack 10 or 7-6 suited. So I decide to rip it all in right here.
I want some of that LA money. I'm gonna play for all of it. Go on. Give me some of Action Dan's money, please. He snapped. Oh, he snapped me.
My set of 9s figured to be good in the moment, but if you guys know Jay, aka Trick Time, he's a master of hitting the river. Let's just say he's kind of a river rat.
Wow, Mariano way ahead percentage-wise. Oh, there it is.
I'm being told this pot is actually bigger than 110K. Oh, and there's the 8. It's an offsuit 8. What a ridiculous river. Binks a 3-outer.
We're never running it twice anymore, me and you. It just...
The river comes the 3 of hearts, which isn't great, bringing in a 3rd heart. I show my cards and he mucks, so luckily we are taking that one down, and I can't think of a better start to the session. Let's go. In this next hand, we look down at pocket 4s, and we're gonna go Texas heads up here when everybody and their mother put in the call. The flop comes about as good as you can hope for with 4s, 10, 6, 4, bang, we flop bottom set. Back-to-back sets, back-to-back big pots, I'm hoping. Let's see how we can bloat this one up. It's only 70 bucks so far. I think check raise is the move. There's a lot of people in the hand, and I assume anyone with 2 pair or a straight draw or a diamond flush will probably put money in the middle. Much to my dismay, everybody checks, which isn't great because the pot stays at 70 bucks. The turn comes the king of spades now, which seems to be a good card. I'm gonna do the betting myself. I fire out for $35. I still think we can get raised in this spot and then come in for a 3-bet. But that's not what happens. We're only gonna pick up a few calls. Off to the river we go, which comes the 5 of spades. Not the best card because it brings in 7-8 suited and a 3 deuce if someone has that. Still, I'm gonna overbet here for 225, trying to polarize, meaning I either have a set 2 pair or a straight, or on the contrary, I could have a missed diamond draw. 225 is the price. We find 1 fold, and then Bobby, he makes our night, puts in the call with 1 purple chip. That's a 500.
Is that all in?
I turn it over. Pocket fours is gonna be good here. And Bobby shakes his head, knowing that all the chips are mine. It's my turn to put on the $25 button straddle. There's a limp, and there is a raise from Old Trick Time, makes it $100 to go. I peek at my cards. What do I have? None other than the best hand ever created, American Airlines Weapons of Mass Destruction. I picked it up. That's why you got to put in the straddle.
It doesn't mean I have aces. It doesn't mean I have aces. It just means I have a hand I want to play.
So let's see how we can get all the money in the middle. There's another call for $100. Gage decides to call the $100, and now I'm just thinking, how big can I go? Well, I'm in position, so I don't want to go too big. I think $400 is probably good, so of course I don't do what I say, and I make it $350, a little bit smaller. I'm obviously trying to milk these guys, and both of them are like some heifers. They put in the call. The flop comes Queen 6-5 rainbow, which is pretty safe for pocket aces. The action checks over to me. Gonna go for a small bet here of $350, and Gage folds his cards. Action's back over to Trick Time, and he thinks about his options here. I'm hoping he has a queen or maybe 7-8, 3-4. He could have any two cards. I know I've said that a few times. So when he decides to check raise me to 1100, there's only one option in my mind. I want to get it in right here, right now. I jam my entire stack, covering him for 2600. It's only another 1500 for him to call, and he's shown interest in the pot, so I'm not too worried about him folding. What's that? He folds his cards. He snap folds. I guess it was too strong. Maybe I just call and let him bluff it off on the river. But if he has a hand like 7-8 of hearts, do you guys just want him to see a free turn card? Nah, I think it's just better to get it in considering how shallow he is. Unfortunately, he does find the fold in this spot. But you guys can roast me down in the comments how bad of a jam that is. Be results oriented, you guys. Don't think in the long term, all the draws he's gonna have, and call it off there. Oh well. I left out a key piece of information from this session. We're playing the 7 deuce game, you guys, for $50 a head. So a pretty hefty bounty if you can take it down with 7 deuce. It's pretty much my favorite hand other than 7s and aces. So when we see a raise and a 3-bet ahead of us, I'm on the button, the best position, the best hand ever, 7 deuce. I gotta come in for a 4-bet. I know it's a very strong line. Hopefully everyone will just fold. Oh no, we pick up the cutoff who 3-bet. He's gonna have a pretty strong range as well. We're gonna have to take it to the streets here if we're gonna wanna take down this bounty. On a Queen 5-5 board, I'm hoping he doesn't have King Queen, Queen Jack suited, or like an Ace 5 suited type of hand. There's 550 in the middle. I like a small bet here.
Hey Corey, can I get it back? Oh, no. Let me get that back, Corey. Let me get that back.
Which is what I do. He folds. Mission accomplished. Everyone ship $50 over to me. On June 30th at 4 p.m., Joe Stapleton from PokerStars is going to be at the fort doing a comedy bit followed by some poker and giving away a $2,500 PokerStars package. That's right, Stapes and I talked at EPT Monte Carlo, and I told him about my new card room. He wanted to see it for himself and got PokerStars to give away a massive package to one of you guys. It's sure to be a night full of laughs and all-ins. I'll see you guys there. Unfortunately, PLO hands do not perform well on the vlog, so I didn't record a massive $10,000 one I found myself in 3 ways. We ended up getting half the pot, so a little bit of $1,500 profit in that one, boosting our stack up to $12,500. Remember, I'm only in for $5,000, so you can say the session is going pretty great. Look down at pocket sixes, and I make it $35 to go in this next hand. We pick up 2 callers, one of which is the fort's very own Corey Eyring over there in that beautiful fort hoodie that I may or may not have given him. Then the flop comes even better. King 6-5, bang, we flop middle set. Corey checks it over to myself in between 2 opponents. I usually start with a check. No different here, and the action checks through, bringing in a bad card, the Jack of Diamonds. Corey fires out for $1,000. No point in raising. Can't be folding a set. I put in the call, and Jacob calls as well. When the river comes the 8 of spades, Corey fires out once again, now for 80% of the pot, $325. It would be an absolute crime to fold a set. There is a player behind Jacob that we have to worry about. Maybe he has a small flush, but against Corey, he is filming and I'm filming. I'm not gonna let him bluff me for his vlog. I put in the call and Jacob tank calls as well. Corey turns over 2 pair like I thought. We have him beat, but not Jacob, who decided to not raise the queen high flush.
You're the worst hand.
Pretty interesting spot there where everyone had a big piece of the board. $1,400 though going over to Jacob, and both the vloggers getting skunked in this one. We're up $7,000 and we have our favorite hand, pocket sevens. I mean, that's what dreams are made of, right? There's a raise to $50 from Wong. I put in the call. My left puts in the call. We're going to pick up trick time as well, going 4 ways to the flop, which comes 6, 8, 8 rainbow. Action checks through on the flop, giving us an open-ended straight draw and 2 pair on the turn with the 9 of clubs. Trick time decides to bet out for $75, a very small bet, into 3 opponents. That usually means a strong hand. But considering I have an open-ended straight draw, I put in the call, and the player on my left calls as well. On the river comes a brick. It's a deuce of hearts. Trick time does not slow down. Instead, he fires out large now for $305, and the action's on me. Unfortunately, I'm not closing the action. There's a player to my left, and he easily could have a better hand than mine. However, let's just play our hand against trick time. What bluffs could he have here? He could have Jack 10. He could have some King X of clubs, Ace X of clubs. Maybe he's just turning a 6 into a bluff. All of his value is going to be pocket 6s, anything with an 8 in it, maybe pocket 9s. A pretty tough spot with pocket 7s. It's just a bluff catcher. But I know you guys didn't click on this video to see some boring ABC plays, right? Sometimes you got to put your money where your mouth is and look an action player up. I put in the call. Luckily, the player to my left folds. And now we get to see if we made a good call or if it was a punt. He turns over Queen Jack of hearts for the gutter on the turn with 2 overs. We fade all those cards on the river, make a great call. 1,040 coming my way. And I'm just trying to show you guys why pocket 7s are my favorite hand. Let's go. That brings us into the last hand of the night, which is by far the best and biggest pot of the night. And if you wanted to see anybody else but Trick Time as the villain in this hand, well, you're going to be disappointed. He puts the button straddle on to 25. I make it $85 to go, and he clicks it back to 420. That's the second time he's done that tonight. Not reading too much into that. I'm definitely not 4-betting. I will be out of position the rest of the way, so I put in the call. And we get a pretty great flop, which comes Queen 8-6 with 2 hearts. I start with a check, and with nearly 900 in the middle, Trick Time fires out for a 1/3 pot size bet of $305. Going nowhere, I debate going for a raise, but I think that's overplaying my hand. I put in the call, and the turn comes the 10 of diamonds. $1,400 in the middle, and I start with a check once again. Not the best card to see on the turn because it brings in Jack 9 suited and 9-7 suited as well. But when does Trick Time ever want to control the size of the pot? He fires out for a nearly pot size bet of $1,130. Now I'm heavily discounting a hand like pocket 8s or pocket 6s because remember, he 3-bet me on the button. I think he's more likely to call with those pocket pairs than 3-bet. I think he could have a hand like Ace Queen, Queen 10 suited, Jack 9 for the straight, 9-7. When he chooses a large sizing here on the turn, he either has a very strong hand like one I just mentioned, or a bluff for a heart draw, or maybe a hand like King Jack suited. So $1,130 is the price. I got a nut up here and put the money in the middle with my top pair good kicker. But now it's starting to get a little bit hairy here. It's a $3,700 pot, and the river comes a brick. It's the 4 of diamonds. We thought we're good on the turn, which obviously we did because we put in the call. We figured to be good on the river. Still, no point in leading out into Trick Time, who still could have a hand like Aces, Kings, Ace, Queen. I check it over to him. There's $3,700 in the middle, and I'm hoping he just checks behind or chooses a small sizing around 2 to 3K. Unfortunately, that's not what he does. He overbets for $4,420. He never fails to find a spot to throw that $420 in there. Now, like I said, the 4 of diamonds doesn't change anything. If we're beat on the turn, well, we're beat on the river. And likewise, if we're good on the turn, that 4 is not helping him at all. So $4,420, it's a lot of money. You gotta distance yourself from the size of the bet and just think about your hand and try to play it for what it's worth. I know it's a lot easier said than done when you're facing like 3 rent payments in front of you. $4,420 is a lot of money. But we have top pair. He still could have some busted straight draws like King Jack. He could have Ace 5 of hearts, some other heart draws. In his Trick Time, he could just have some random hands like Jack 10 here. You saw earlier, he just kind of donks it off like that Queen Jack of hearts. So I think I'm gonna have to pay him off here. If I'm folding a hand as good as top pair with a King kicker, well, I think I'm folding a little bit too much here. So I put the $4,420 in the middle, and he immediately shows the bad news. Pocket 10s, you guys. He bet that flop, got there on the turn, went large, in a $12,500 pot going over Trick Time's way. I flopped a bunch of sets early on in the session to grow my stack to around $13,000, so I guess it's only fitting that Trick Time turns a set. We play a $12,500 pot and crush our stack all the way down to around where we started the night. We were gonna play for around another hour, but my head just isn't in the right space after a pot that big and so gross. It's important to keep that stuff in mind, you guys. You don't wanna go on tilt and punt off the rest of your stack. So I make a disciplined decision to cash out now, rack up, hit the cage. We cash out for $57.15, so I still booked a $715 profit on the session. If you guys want to check out the action for yourself, make sure to come out to the fort on June 30th. There's a few other fort videos on your screen right now. Click on one of those to keep watching. But as for now, I'll catch you in the next video. As always, peace!